Hello Man Cavers, welcome back. Happy St. Patrick's Day. We're here at the 2B Man Cave where I'm going to be setting up my electric setup. As I mentioned last week, this is the finished brew bench. This is going to be the bar, and the fan to let out the steam. So today we're going to teach you how to brew beer in 10 minutes or less. So this is my buddy Liz.
Hi there. Welcome to Brewing 101. It's easy. You'll be able to see. Follow along.
All right. So let's hop to it. So we showed you last week some of the brief stuff. This is the boil kettle. This one in particular is made out of a half barrel keg, but you don't have to go this big. If you're going to go 5 gallons batches, you can go with a 7 gallon pot.
How many gallons is that, Larry?
This one is a 15 gallon pot. So right now I'm brewing about 10 gallons. So figure you need another extra couple gallons or so clearance, because it's gonna boil over. So step back. Couple gallons clearance for every 5 gallons you need. So if I'm making 10 gallons, I need to have a 14-gallon pot. So why? Because this, when it boils up, you're going to see a lot of break material. It's going to bubble up, it's going to foam up, and if you only have 11 gallons or so for a 10-gallon batch, it's just going to boil over. So you need that space for it to bubble up and fall back down. So anyway, so that's that keg. So this is the kettle. So what do you do with this, right? So as I mentioned earlier, when you are making an all-grain batch, the first thing you do is you have to calculate how much water you need, right? So that is roughly about 1.2 to 2 quarts for every pound of grain that you need. So you do that calculation out, and that is how much water you need to soak the grains in initially. That's your mashing, right? So
was that 1.2 to 2 gallons?
1.2 to 2 quarts.
2 quarts.
For
1.2 to 2 quarts.
For every pound of grain.
Thank you very much.
So what you're going to do, once you figure that water that you need, you're going to bring it up to about 165. You're going to bring the water up to 165. And you are going to put it in a mash tun. So your mash tun can be made out of common household items. And this one in particular is it's a Coleman cooler.
It's empty.
Yes. so you crush the grains, you soak it in water, and then you drain it using a manifold such as this. This is made out of CPVC pipe. The C in the PVC makes it heat resistant, but you can also make this using a stainless steel mesh that you can find on a water supply, or of course you can buy it. So that's your mash tun. You drain the grains, the grain water in here, and then what you're going to have left is you need more water, right? You need more water to get to your boil volume. So you have the ratio. You calculate how much you had coming out. What's coming out is actually it's the water that you put in minus 1/10 of a gallon for every pound of grain that you put in. That's going to be roughly your absorption of your grain. So you take whatever that math is, and you bring it up to, say, a gallon above what you need, because you're going to boil off a gallon, and that's your final amount of water that you need. So hope you caught all that. So what you do then is you take that water
bring it up to, I don't know, say 180-ish, 170, 180. And you dump it back over on top of your grain and just run that water right, and you know, stir it and run it right back out. And that'll just rinse the remaining sugar out of your grain, and it'll give you the final volume of wort that you need. So,
Okay.
did I catch all that?
Moving right along after we've drained and redrained.
All right.
What do we do next?
Okay, so now you've got the wort, right? And you've got to bring it up to a boil, and from there you'll start adding hops. These actually I grew in my front yard. These are actually Cascades from 2010. But your recipe will, so you'll use this for about an hour, and the recipe will call for, you know, what types of hops and the intervals that you'll add them at. I usually add something at 60, and then it just goes from there, you know, depending on how hoppiness, how much hops you want, and the flavor.
So after you add the hops, hour's done, you kill the heat, right? And when you're done doing that, you got to chill it down. And one way to chill it down is using something like this. This is what's called an immersion chiller, right? So there's many other different ways to chill down your wort, but this is probably the easiest. All it is a copper coil wrapped around. You put this guy in here, and basically you just hook this up to a garden hose, and you let this side drain out. So it's basically hot water in, cold water out. And if you stir it, it'll cool down even faster. So
the purpose of this is to cool down your boiling hops and water.
Right. So you want to do that as quick as possible, because I try to shoot for about 20 minutes, because basically you can. You don't want any bacteria falling in there. There's a sweet spot that bacteria likes to lie in, around in the high, you know, in the mid 100s. You don't want it to go there. So cool it down as quick as you can and drain it out. So from there, you're going to drain it out into one of these guys, or something like this. This is a carboy. You probably want to go for about 6.5 gallons for a 5-gallon batch. Why? Because when it ferments, it's going to bubble up, right? So you want that head space.
And how much head space do you think you need?
I would say about a gallon and a half.
About a gallon and a
So if you're
half.
shooting for
What do you
5
think
gallons.
that is? About right there?
Yeah, about right there.
Okay.
That's perfect.
All right.
Yeah. But before you close it up, you're going to toss yeast in there. This is dry yeast. You can buy it in liquid format. Doesn't matter, just according to your preferences. But you'll dump it in there, and you'll put an airlock on there, and that's it. And once you put an airlock on there, you let it sit for a good week or so, and you check it. You know.
So, Man Cave Larry, can you tell me just exactly how long it needs to be fermenting and at what temperature?
Sure. So this is an ale. So with ales, you want to ferment around room temperature. Lower to mid 60s is perfect, and that's going to go for about a week. Okay. You'll see this. You'll see the airlock bubbling as it's actively fermenting, and then it'll just die down. So when it dies down, when it stops, really, you want to check a gravity reading, and your recipe is going to tell you exactly what you need to, what gravity reading you should be at. So this is a hydrometer, and this is what's called a wine thief. So you're going to pull a sample out and drop this in here, and you're going to check to see what your reading is. Typical beer usually ends around the 1010 and the 1020 range. If it's in the 1030 range or higher, it's probably still fermenting. So you should just let it go. Now that's the temperature there I mentioned earlier, the 65 degree temperature. That's an ale. If you're going to do a lager, you're going to want to ferment around 50 degrees and let it go for longer, about 2 or 3 weeks, because at a lager temperature, that that yeast is going to work slower, so it's just going to ferment a bit slower as well.
So now that it's fermented and you've measured, it's gotten your right reading, what do you do next?
Well, at that point then, you transfer it and you bottle it. So in summary, I told you how to mash in your grains, 1.2 to 2 quarts per pound of grain. Didn't talk about the grain too much. This is, this is basic 2-row right here. You can buy this at any local homebrew shop. Mine just happens to be Perfect Brewing in Libertyville. PerfectBrewingSupply.com.
Perfect Brewing in Libertyville.
That's right. That's right.
Also have a website?
PerfectBrewingSupply.com. So do that. Then you're going to drain that out. You're going to boil it. You're going to heat your grains up to 165. Mash it in, and then you drain it out. And then after you soak for an hour, and then from there you add more water in and rinse it back out to get to your final volume. Bring it up to a boil. Add hops and then cool it down. Now, one thing I did forget to mention is sanitation. Sanitation is critical to anything you do with your beer post boil, right? So use the sanitizer I use is Star San. You can also use iodophor, which is an iodine-based sanitizer. But all that stuff works. Again, you can find that at your homebrew shop along with all the equipment. So you drain that out into a glass carboy. Add your yeast. Let it ferment for a week or two. Check your gravity readings, and then you bottle it.
Larry, you make it sound so easy.
It is. It really is. So, man cavers, I encourage you to go out there, try brewing your own beer. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/dime0000. Go to your local homebrew shop or go to mine at perfectbrewingsupply.com and join us next week when I'll talk to you about growing your own hops. Cheers.